Tonight at 6, we have the latest on the arraignment of the driver in a case that affected the Kent State community. Our reporter is at the scene 6 months after the accident.
As they have gone through both this disaster's immediate impacts and the swirl of national and international and political attention that's come their way, their decency and resolve has been inspiring.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited East Palestine. His thoughts on the situation there and why he didn't visit sooner.
And how artificial intelligence is experiencing growing pains, how companies are responding to AI's mistakes.
And Spotify will begin using AI in new ways to add more personality to its playlist. All these stories and more as your Thursday night edition of TV2 News starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Portage County, thank you for spending your Thursday evening with us. I'm Sydney Brown.
And I'm Alexa Blakley. We begin tonight with the arraignment of the driver involved in a hit-and-run crash that killed a Kent State student.
Our very own Alexandria Manthey is live at the intersection with more on the charges brought to court over 6 months after the crash.
That's right. Timothy Brind Jr. of Atwater appeared in court this afternoon after police say he fled the scene of a crash that killed a Kent State student. Now, 6 months later, that accident happened right here at this intersection outside of campus.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'd have no objection to a PR bond. All right, Attorney Semino.
Your Honor, obviously we have no objection to that. We thank the prosecutor for their recommendation.
Any conditions requested?
Your Honor, based on the facts of this case and a lack of criminal history, I have nothing to suggest that the court should impose anything else.
19-year-old Timothy Brind Jr. turned himself in Thursday afternoon after he was charged for a hit-skip crash that happened in August. That crash was at the intersection of Route 261 and Summit Street that killed 22-year-old Kent State student Colin Foe. Brind was charged with failure to stop after an accident, which is a third-degree felony. The judge issued him a $20,000 personal recognizance bond. Brind's discovery hearing was set for March 24th, his preliminary hearing for May 2nd, and a possible jury trial for May 16th. Foe was a computer science major at Kent State and was traveling eastbound near Dick Stadium on his electric scooter when he was struck from behind. Brind was found not at fault for the actual crash. Foe's parents were not in the courtroom today. However, Brind's family was. His attorney said that he did not have a comment at this time. We will continue to follow this story as it develops, but for now, for TV2 News, live in Kent, I'm Alexandria Manthey.
Thanks, Alex. The Ohio Supreme Court has ruled unanimously against the Kent State Police Department in a case involving a request for body camera footage. Matthew Lucane requested footage of a woman who had been pulled over at a traffic stop, although the reasoning for his request was unknown. The Kent police gave Lucane some of the footage, but withheld the part of the video that depicted the woman's arrest. They were then ordered to pay $1,000 in damages to Lucane by the Ohio Supreme Court.
5 people were killed in a plane crash Wednesday afternoon. The passengers were headed to Columbus from Arkansas on their way to help the environmental cleanup after an explosion and large fire in Oakwood that killed a worker and injured 13 people on Monday afternoon. The passengers aboard the flight were employed by the environmental consulting firm in North Little Rock. The EPA shared that they had worked at East Palestine following the train derailment. The cause of this crash is still being investigated.
We continue our coverage of the East Palestine derailment. Our own Sydney Brown has the most recent updates on the situation. Sydney?
Thank you, Alexa. A recent report in the East Palestine investigation revealed crews received a safety alert before the train derailment. This critical warning about an overheated axle did not appear until dozens of cars had already derailed, according to the federal investigators. With further investigation, the train was still under the speed limit when the audible alarm sounded, prompting the engineer to slow the train down.
The question is what gives me the certainty that this was 100% preventable. We've never seen an accident that isn't preventable. And I actually think that I don't like the word accident. I hate to use it. Nothing is an accident.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited East Palestine today. Buttigieg has faced criticism for not visiting the site earlier, including from former President Donald Trump, who visited Ohio yesterday. The Department of Transportation said Buttigieg is visiting now that the EPA has started long-term cleanup efforts. Buttigieg defended his delay to the crash site by allowing the safety board to take the early lead, but expressed the community's resilience and amid the disaster.
Norfolk Southern and the other freight rail companies need to stop fighting us every time we try to do a regulation in order to hold them accountable and their other railroad companies accountable for their safety record.
But the environmental impact worsens around East Palestine. A new report claims over 38,000 fish are now dead. Director Mary Mertz of Ohio Department of Natural Resources shared an environmental impact report earlier today. But no vinyl chloride has been detected in any of these waterways. These numbers are just a piece of how the derailment is influencing wildlife and domestic animals.
We don't think it'll spread, no reason, but we want to be there for the people of the region, and we're going to continue watching until there's absolutely no doubt. But we don't have any reason to think it'll spread further.
But the Ohio Senate is holding hearings for the train derailment as soon as next week. Many politicians are expressing urgency to find the facts of this case. Senate President Matt Huffman plans to hold a committee hearing on Tuesday or Wednesday and invites the director of Ohio's EPA along with someone from the governor's office to testify. This plan still needs to be approved but has a lot of support from other Ohio politicians.
Good evening, Portage County. My name is Noah Rowe, and I'm beyond excited to bring you tonight's weather forecast. First, let's take a quick look at what the weather is looking like right here in Kent. We are at 59 degrees. It does feel like 56, though. It is absolutely gorgeous out. Our dew point is at 50 degrees. It's a bit windy out there, 16 miles an hour coming in from the west, and the humidity at a nice 63%. Visibility is also out at 10 miles. Moving on, we're going to be looking at the weather for tonight as well as into tomorrow. At 8 p.m., At 8 p.m. it's going to be about 50 degrees, still cooling down just a little bit, and at midnight we'll be dropping down to 28. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. we're going to be cooling down quite a bit, 27 degrees. We're going to have a bit more sun than we have right now, but that cold temperature is probably going to continue into tomorrow. Taking a look at that, we see that tonight and tomorrow is going to be a high of 26 with a wind from the west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. We're going to really be cooling down. However, we'll see what else is going to be happening when we take a look at the 7-day forecast later. That's all the time we have for the moment, but don't go anywhere. I'll be back with your 7-day forecast, as I said, later on in the show.
Opening night for Urinetown by Kent State School of Theater and Dance is tomorrow night. The musical is about a 20-year-old drought shortage that has led to a ban on private toilets. Citizens are forced to use and pay for public amenities, leading to a public revolt. Performances are at the E. Turner Stump Theater, Center for Performing Arts.
To celebrate Black History Month, the Kent State University Library is displaying a photography exhibit by Kent State alum Lafayette Tolliver. While enrolled at Kent State, Tolliver photographed the lives of students of color on campus. In 2014, he donated the collection to Kent State's Special Collections and Archives. Tolliver will be the featured guest of the event happening tonight from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll have the full story about this event and Urinetown tomorrow at 6.
Ravenna is celebrating Black History Month. Author Devrise Lindell will discuss her life experience from Jim Crow South to a thriving northern community in Northeast Ohio. Her collaborator, Mary Louise Rowe, will also be there to talk about their book, The Higher You Climb, The Broader the View. The event is this Saturday at 2 p.m. at Portage County's Historical Society.
Have you ever lost a gift card before you spent it? A new study estimates just how much money Americans have in unspent gift cards.
The Pentagon released a new picture of the Chinese balloon. What the new information this picture provides for the FBI.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is TV2 News, truly Portage County.
Welcome back. A shortage from Adderall is forcing people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder to turn to other forms of medication, but there's no clear reason for why the shortage is happening.
The FDA claims it may be due to an increase in demand, while companies that make Adderall are saying it's because of a shortage of an active ingredient. This joins the several other medications that have been facing shortages over the past few months.
The FDA is fining 4 makers of e-cigarette products. Companies are accused of not getting proper FDA authorization to sell their products even after warnings. The FDA said the maximum fine is more than $19,000 for each violation. The director of the FDA's Center for Tobacco Products said the agency's actions should be a wake-up call that all tobacco product manufacturers, big or small, are required to obey the law.
Keeping up with FDA updates, the Food and Drug Administration is recommending that consumers be made aware of how milk alternatives compare to dairy milk. The agency released guidance Wednesday saying that milk alternatives should include a nutrient statement, showing how the product's nutrients compare and differ from dairy milk. This is one of many of the FDA's efforts to improve information on plant-based milk products since 2018.
A new study shows that Americans now have a collective $21 billion in unspent gift cards. This study by the financial advisory services provider found that in more than 1,200 Americans, nearly 2/3 have at least one unspent gift card. But further found that at least half of those surveyed admitted to losing a gift card before they used it. According to federal law, gift cards last at least 5 years from the date they were activated.
The U.S. Copyright Office has ruled that illustrations created by artificial intelligence are not covered by copyright law. The ruling came after the office discovered that the author of the comic book Zarya of the Dawn did not include in her copyright application that the book's illustrations were created by AI. The office canceled her copyright certificate and issued a new one that only covers the text of the comic book.
Companies are quickly becoming concerned about the growth of artificial intelligence. JPMorgan Chase is limiting the use of ChatGPT amid general security concerns. In the wake of recent compliance concerns, the bank is moving to limit its usage of AI software. The significant errors dealing with sensitive personal data and the government's tight regulation of banks pushed JPMorgan to this change.
More than 130 cities across the U.S. are experiencing record-breaking monthly temperatures right now. Experts are warning of the consequences of this heat wave.
The National Oceanic Atmosphere Administration said that the Great Lakes should be covered in much more ice than they are right now, and crops are beginning to bloom early, which could disrupt the plant life cycle. Now, let's see what our weather anchor Noah Rowe can tell us about this. Hi, Noah.
Thank you. Hi, Sydney. Welcome back to part 2 of tonight's weather forecast. First, let's start things off with a look at what temperatures are looking like across Northeast Ohio's area. As you can see right now, we have our temperatures a bit colder up by the lake, high 40s and lower 50s in Sandusky, Cleveland, and Ashtabula, respectively. Once we get a bit closer towards the Kent area, we're looking at 67, 68 in Youngstown, 70 in Canton, with 68 and 69 in Mansfield and Worcester, respectively. Moving on to our temperatures across the state. Yeah, as we can see, this trend of the colder near the lake and warmer towards the southern border continues. We have 64 in Lima, 69 in Akron, but we're seeing 70s in places like Steubenville, Athens, Columbus, Dayton, as well as Cincinnati. Now finally, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. As you can see, tomorrow we're going to be looking at a bit colder temperatures, only 30 degrees of the high with a low of 20. However, we're going to be warming up pretty quickly, 46 on Saturday and 50 on Sunday, keeping that trend of the 50s into early next week with 54 on Monday, but some rain showers. We might be getting some morning snow on Wednesday. That is all the time we have for weather today. I've been Noah Rowe, and have a great and pleasant night, Portage County. Now, back to the desk.
Governor Ron DeSantis spoke about the expansion of Florida's border.
Who lives in Florida? Why would we subsidize non-U.S. citizen when we want to make sure we can keep it affordable for our own people?
Governor Ron DeSantis spoke about the expansion of Florida's border crisis. The governor explained the current border policies and the U.S.'s response to the Chinese spy balloons as humiliating at a Jacksonville airport hangar. He proposes hefty fines and punishments for those who helped illegal immigrants, in addition to strong limits for rights of undocumented immigrant students.
19-year-old Keith Moses has been arrested for a fatal shooting in Orange County, Florida, Wednesday. Authorities say Moses allegedly shot and killed a woman and then later fired again on a news crew covering the shooting incident, which killed reporter Dylan Lyons. Moses then entered a home and shot the residents, injuring a woman and killing her 9-year-old daughter. Authorities say they have yet to find the motive for the shootings.
No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community.
Alex Murdaugh, who is being tried for a double murder, is testifying for himself. Murdaugh is accused of killing his wife and son on their hunting property. When he took the stand, he responded to the defense saying he would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them, and responded to them pulling the trigger. TV2 will continue to cover this case as the trial advances.
I don't know why I tried to turn him over. Me and my boys laying face down. And he's done the way he's done. His head was the way his head was. I could see his brain laying on the sidewalk. I didn't know what to do.
R. Kelly has been sentenced to another 20 years in prison after he was convicted of producing child pornography back in September. However, he will only have to serve 1 year of the sentence, as a judge said that 19 of the years could be served at the same time as the 30-year sentence he is currently serving for sex trafficking. The prosecutors had asked that he serve an additional 25 years after his current sentence was up.
Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced to 16 years in prison for rape and sexual assault today. A California jury convicted him in December of raping a model and actress in Beverly Hills Hotel in 2013. Weinstein had pleaded not guilty. He is already serving a 23-year prison sentence handed down in New York back in 2020 for another rape conviction. Weinstein's attorney has filed an appeal.
The U.S. Defense Department released a selfie taken by the pilot of a U-2 spy plane that shows a Chinese surveillance balloon that was shot down earlier this month. The selfie was taken about a week after the balloon was first spotted, when the pilot had been sent up to make an identification of it. The balloon was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean on February 4th, and recovery efforts wrapped up on February 17th. Pieces of the debris are now being studied by the FBI.
Now, we haven't seen them give lethal aid to Russia at this time for the war, but they haven't also taken that off the table. And so we have been consistent from here, and I believe Secretary Blinken also met with his counterpart in Germany just last week. We reinforced there that, again, there will be consequences for China should this partnership with Russia further deepen.
The Defense Department warned China against providing lethal aid to Russia on Wednesday. This comes after similar cautionary statements from Secretary of State Attorney Blakley and other U.S. officials as concerns mount that Beijing will support Moscow's war in Ukraine with weapons and ammunition. On Monday, Beijing hit back against accusations it was considering sending lethal aid to Russia, accusing the U.S. instead of escalating the war in Ukraine.
Have you been keeping up with HBO Max's The Last of Us? Then you may have noticed a blooper in the background of this week's episode.
No NBA, no problem, as there were fireworks in college basketball last night. That and more coming up on TV2 News.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Good evening, Portage County. I am Blake Goloja with your TV2 Sports Report. With the MAC tournament exactly 2 weeks away and only 3 regular season games remaining, Kent State basketball has fallen out of the #1 seed in the conference for the first time this year. Toledo has taken over the top spot by 1 conference game, but the Flashes do have the head-to-head tiebreaker. Kent State's next game is set for this Saturday at Bowling Green. Tip-off is set at 5, and you can catch the action on ESPN3. And the Cleveland Cavaliers begin their second half of the season at home tonight, facing off against the Denver Nuggets. The Cavs have gone 25-6 on their home wood while leading the league in defense and holding opponents to a 46.5% shooting percentage. Sitting at 4th in the East, the Cavs are in great position as they have the conference's 3rd easiest remaining schedule. As long as this team can stay healthy, it should be an entertaining second half and a potential deep playoff run. Tonight's tip-off is 7 p.m. and airing on Bally Sports Ohio. And #2 Alabama visited South Carolina last night, and get your popcorn ready because it was a thriller. Let's head over to Colonial Life Arena last night. Starting it off with the Gamecocks here as he's going to throw down a two-hand jam. That was Josh Gray, but they're going to answer here. Brandon Miller raining in the threes. That's just one of 6 he hit tonight. We're going to stay with Brandon Miller as he's going to drive down the lane and he's going to make 6'9" Brandon Bosmans for Donk smile for the poster as he throws it down right on top of his head and looked at him just for good measures. Michi Johnson, that old Ohio State guy, yeah, he's on South Carolina now, and he's knocking down some deep threes past half court. Miller, once again, nothing but net from deep. Now, 6 seconds left in the second half. Miller's going to drive in, put it up, and kiss it off the glass to tie it up and force some overtime. He wanted to foul, didn't get one. 25 seconds now in overtime. He's going to drive to the basket. Michi Johnson's going to finish it with the right hand. Now, 3 seconds left. This is for the game. Puts it up, puts it in. Almost a replay of that second half to tie it, but this time it's to win it. Alabama hangs on 78-76. Brandon Miller finished with 41 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He was all over the place, showing off that full arsenal. And that is it for sports. So make sure to follow at TV2 KSU Sports for updates on all things Kent State athletics. I've been Blake Goloja. Enjoy this amazing weather and have a great Thursday night.
Why Rihanna is not settling down just yet, how the star is staying top of mind going into award show season. Welcome back. Spotify users can now listen to personalized playlists that are made to mimic the experience of listening to a radio station, complete with artificially intelligent DJs.
The AI DJ will be able to announce songs and add personality to playlists. The new addition comes as AI softwares like ChatGPT are gaining popularity and will only be available to premium subscribers for now.
Rihanna is not settling down just yet. After breaking records at her Super Bowl halftime show, the star is set to perform at the Oscars. The singer is expected to perform her new song, Lift Me Up, in her Oscars performance next month. But this song is also up for Best Original Song from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, making it her first ever Oscars nomination for a Best Original Song. The Oscars are Sunday, March 12th at 7 p.m.
Fans of HBO Max's The Last of Us have spotted a mistake in the most recent episode. In the scene where the lead characters Joel and Ellie are seen crossing a snowy bridge, something else can be seen in the background: 2 groups of film crew members. Fans pointed it out on TikTok and jokingly tried to work the crew members into the story, with one person saying, quote, "These people are zombies filming."
That is so funny.
I think it's so funny. I've been absolutely loving The Last of Us, but I did not notice this at all when I was watching the most recent episode.
Are you going to go back and have to look at this now?
I think I'm going to have to. I have to be able to see this now.
People on TikTok are crazy though. Like, how do you find that stuff? Because, I mean, that's like, they made it seem really obvious, but I don't think I would ever pick it up.
I think it's such a quick shot. Like, I would never have noticed that. But
And
I think it's so funny.
It's like a fast-paced show though, right?
Oh, it very much is, yeah.
And so wait, how far like into it is it? This season?
So there's been, I think, 5 or 6 episodes so far.
Okay.
And they come out every Sunday.
Oh, okay. That's like such an easy day for me. I have to get on this train of The Last of Us because everyone's been talking about it and I feel really out of the loop. But are you excited about Rihanna's halftime performance? Or not the halftime performance. That was awesome though.
That was
Oscars
amazing.
Performance.
I'm very excited because I absolutely loved her halftime show. So I'm really excited to see like what she's going to do next at this performance.
And it's just like her year. I mean, the
It
fact
really
that
is.
she's just pregnant and still doing all this stuff, I just think she's just like such a girl boss.
Right?
I just love it so much. And I'm so excited for the Oscars in general.
Me
So
too. It's going to be so
I think it's going
good.
to be great. Can't wait for this show. And then that is all the time we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
For updates on all these stories and more, visit our website at KentWired.com and follow us on all of our social media at KentWired. I'm Alexa Blakley.
And I've been Sydney Brown. Have a great night, Portage County.